The United States lawmakers have been urged to pressure the Nigerian government to abolish Sharia law in northern states where it has been adopted and disband the religious enforcement HISPA commissions, with experts warning that these laws and groups are fueling systematic anti-Christian persecution. Well, during the joint House briefing on Tuesday, Council on Foreign Relations Senior Fellow Dr. Ebenezer Obadari testified that the primary drivers of violence, Boko Haram, ISWAP, and radicalized Fulani militants exploit Sharia frameworks and HISPA officials to impose extremist ideology and operate with near total impunity. Dr. Obadari laid out a twofold strategy. First, work with the Nigerian military to neutralize Boko Haram, and second, pressure President Tinubu to make Sharia law unconstitutional in 12 northern states where it has been adopted since the year 2000, and disband the various Hizbah groups who are seeking to enforce Islamic law on all citizens regardless of their religious identity. This is another push that we are seeing, Dr. Abati. You know, the call for the ban of Sharia law also is an uncomfortable conversation that needs to be had. Your thoughts?
Okay, the Sharia.
Yes.
Now it was Dr. Ebenezer Obadari, he used to be one of our colleagues in those early days, who recommended that two solutions to address the problem in Nigeria. Put pressure on the Nigerian government to do a lot more. Then ban Sharia in 12 northern states, and also ban the Hizbah units.
Yes.
Well, the thing to note is that the Sharia law is in fact in the Constitution of Nigeria. I think I said this about 2 days ago. In sections 275, 279. And its jurisdiction is civil. It's not a criminal orthodoxy, as some people are trying to define it in the United States. It means that the Sharia law can only apply to persons who have elected to be tried under the Sharia law. And we have Sharia Court of Appeal. We have in some of these states, where you have the Sharia. And in any case, it's a federal system.
Yeah.
Some states, that say, oh, we want to adopt this kind of system of law, are allowed to do so. But that law should not apply to people who do not subscribe to it. So you cannot use Sharia law now to punish Christians.
Yes, and
I do not think that President Tinubu has the powers to unilaterally say, oh, he will declare Sharia law unconstitutional. In fact, that would be a prescription for chaos, for conflict. In fact, it will worsen the situation, because persons from those 12 northern states and religious leaders who, since 1978 Constitutional Conference, insisted on the Sharia being accommodated as a personal orthodoxy. They will be the ones to now rise up in arms. So in trying to solve a problem in Nigeria, you create another problem.
All right. We have often seen, like you have said, that the Sharia law should not be used to persecute Christians, right? But we have seen that happen. I think we've discussed this at length, Ayo. Even recently, we've seen...
Now it's inching closer.
Yes.
And the truth is that we need to also decide whether or not Nigeria is a secular state or not.
Correct.
If we say that Nigeria is a secular state, then we cannot have sports whereby a particular religious law is allowed. So we need to make that decision. And I did mention at the beginning of this conversation around Christian genocide that we must have uncomfortable conversations around Sharia law in some states. I also believe that it's important to find out to what extent the Christians living in those... we've seen incidents where it crosses over. It always crosses over after a while. And that's where the challenge is. If something was instituted or called upon, if we see that it has a negative effect, we can go back to the conversation, revisit it, and actually find out if it's still working.
Except that Sharia is not a religion.
I'm trying to say particular religious group.
The Sharia court.
The Constitution says there shall be no state religion.
Correct.
In any part. And there's no state of Nigeria where they say you must only be Muslims or you must only be Christians.
Yeah, but the point she's making
is a system of judicial administration
that applies to only a particular religious group.
Or whoever submits to it.
Yes.
But it's mainly the religious group.
So let me tell you why she's talking about, why we're talking about this, because only recently I think we saw a man's store that was closed down in Abuja and said it was a Sharia court that repossessed his property. And we have seen some of these.
There's no Sharia in the EFCC.
Well, that was the conversation.
In the state where it was brought before.
It was brought before.
And so there are inches.
So it was in the state it was brought before.
Closer,
so
yeah.
Exactly, because the people that were persecuting were, using the Sharia court to do that. And so, like Ayo has said, this is a situation where these laws are inching and also persecuting people that have not subscribed to it. For example, we saw Deborah, the killing of Deborah, who, had this, was blasphemous,
yes,
and she was killed. She was burned. But she was Christian, and they used the blasphemy law to persecute her. So, these are the sort of conversations that are uncomfortable and need to be had. If we have to revisit the conversation, we should open it again on the table. And this is my thought. The Constitution is being reviewed all the time, Dr. Bat, isn't it?
Well, we're talking about Sharia law. I'm saying it will cause a lot of problems.
Well,
I don't think President Tinubu needs to go in that direction.
Well, that's your advice. But the Nigerian people are saying that these are the conversations that need to be had. If this is a situation where Christians are being persecuted for something that they did not subscribe to, I believe it's something that should be put on the table.
Yes.
That's really all it is.
We're going to constitutional conversation. So.
All right, in the meantime, the Senate has confirmed the appointment of former Chief of Defense Staff, General Christopher Musa, as Nigeria's new Minister of Defense following a rigorous 5-hour screening by lawmakers on Wednesday. During the confirmation hearing, General Musa faced tough questions on recent security lapses, including the withdrawal of troops from Government Comprehensive Girls Secondary School in Maga, Kebbi State. General Musa assured the Senate that he would immediately set up a full-scale investigation into the troop withdrawal once he assumes office, and vowed to probe the recent killing of a brigadier commander in Borno State, Brigadier General Musa Uba, and other attacks targeting military officers. Well, during the screening, General Musa also declared a hardline stance against negotiating with criminals, stating that such negotiations compromise national security. Let's take a look.
No one individual can do this together. We must work. There is no to negotiation. There is no negotiation with any criminal. And I think that should be made very, very clear. We are working together. We're going to work together with the NSS office to ensure that states don't adopt such things, because those things compromise security. And to tell those that nobody, if you negotiate with them, they will never abide by it. It's just a moment. When they do that, they want to buy time to buy more arms, and then they were going to come. And we have seen it repeatedly. There are even localities that have done that. They still come after them. So, sir, it's a total ban on that, total ban on illegal mining.
Sharia law is not.
Well, the screening session saw moments of tension when Senator representing Niger East, Sani Musa, suggested that General Christopher Musa be allowed to take a bow and go, prompting protests from lawmakers before Senate President Godswill Akpabio intervened firmly, rejecting the suggestion, stating that Nigerians deserve to hear from General Musa at a time when security concerns remain high. He cited pressure from the United States over security concerns in Nigeria, stating that even though
I sing you on your me Jesus, I be kwala no so. Una hono no nyami Jesus, I be kwala no so.
If we come here and we do politics of bow and go, this is not a period we should say bow and go. Even Donald Trump is on our neck. We have not yet asked him what his response will be to Donald Trump, the President of America. He is not just anybody. Chief of Defense Staff, a nominee for a Minister of Defense of a country, and you stand up and say you should take a bow and go, with so many questions on the mouth of Nigerians, with over 200 Nigerian children in the bush, kidnapped and being tortured. His appointment is heralded all over Nigeria with happiness, because Nigerians believe he has something to offer. Give the man an opportunity to give Nigerians hope.
Well, this is a far departure. Well, the Senate, from the Senate's usual rubber stamp bow and go practice. Some people online say the practice was rejected because of international pressure. I'll take some posts on X before I come to you. Akan wrote, if not for Donald Trump, Akpabio would never have read the terms of his engagement as Senate president. Hope he maintains this energy for other pressing national issues. Another ex-user wrote, and hailing Akpabio, saying, distinguished sir, you have earned my respect for this singular act. The era of take a bow and go just like that as a nominee minister can no longer be accepted in this crucial time of heightening insecurity. All government appointees must be scrutinized. Finally, an ex-user wrote, politics aside, Akpabio asked some genuinely pertinent questions. It's clear that even within Nigeria's leadership circles, there is an awareness of the pressure coming from the United States and a need to respond thoughtfully. And also in the meantime, speaking about, General Musa and, the zero tolerance on negotiations with terrorists, the House of Representatives on Wednesday called on the federal government to reveal the financiers behind terrorism and banditry in Nigeria. The House resolved that the people backing kidnappings and banditry in the country should be named, sanctioned, and persecuted, while also stating that all terrorism-related persecutions should be open, expeditious, and transparent. The lawmakers also demanded that the federal government open a new special court specifically dedicated to terrorism, banditry, and kidnapping. These are all the right moves in the right direction. We've always called for these people to be named and shamed. Now the lawmakers are even calling for a special court for the persecution. Now your thoughts on Akpabio even referencing Donald Trump, that hey, Donald Trump is on our neck at this point. This international pressure, the pressure is getting worse.
It's getting worse.
Go ahead.
Well, I'll begin with the special courts because this is something that then the Minister of Defense, who is about to be confirmed, has always advocated for as part of his measures that he felt would, would curb and help us to deal with the menace. However, the conflict now becomes the fact that under the Terrorism Prevention and Prohibition Act, there is permission for some of these procedures to be done without media and without that transparency that we seek. It is one of that's where it gets a little bit complicated because of issues around national security and implications to national stability. Having said that, I think it's a step in the right direction. Now, to yesterday's proceedings, heated proceedings, and I say thank God, I never thought I'd hear myself say this, but thank God for the leadership of Senate President Akpabio and his intervention, because if not, we wouldn't have seen that sort of rigorous screening session. And our only hope is that although the ambassadorial nominees are being screened behind closed doors, we hope that there's the same rigor happening for them as well. So on that note, I say that was an important development. However, on another note, I say, my goodness me, it breaks my heart when the fear of a white man is what makes us spring into action. It says a lot. However, this is where we are. A Caucasian across the Atlantic has issued a warning, and we, like good blacks...
A Caucasian across the Atlantic?
Yes, and we, like good blacks, are now terrified.
The United States president, the most powerful man.
Listen, there are several presidents who have stood up to past American presidents. However, there are genuine issues, and I think this is what we should focus on, right? Is that although we can't, I don't want to kill the messenger because I have a problem with the messenger, but it's okay. We're here now, and it's unfortunate that it wasn't the voice of the constituents, the voice of the Nigerians who are dealing with this menace day on, day out, that sprung our people into action. That's why I made